Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Once again, we welcome to the program the chair of the Waikanae Community Board, James Westbury, who had a very busy day yesterday, an enormous council meeting. James, I believe the Gateway project was discussed at some length.
At some length, I think that's an understatement. It was nearly consumed 3.5 hours of council time. That's as long as I could participate anyway, given the time frames that they indicate for a council meeting. And I think we need to look at the way our councils meetings are chaired in that respect to ensure things are done in a timely and an expedient manner, because I don't believe it's efficient, prudent, nor we still need to be transparent to the public with regards to our decision making, but it felt like a bit of a parody at times.
In what way?
Well, in terms of councillors asking questions that you could quite clearly elude from the information pack that was provided, in terms of the level of detail with regards to the financial modelling was rather lacking in its information, and anybody with any sound or critical business mind would have unpicked that, and it should have been reasonably obvious that given the current point in time with COVID-19, the decimation of tourist numbers, to continue to believe that those modelling numbers are sound, I'm just a little bit flabbergasted, to be honest.
So did it look to you as if they had not altered the economic case in the light of recent developments?
No, it's not really reflecting the impact of COVID-19 with regard to tourist numbers. There's a lot of belief that it will be sustainable with regards to local tourism. But also that in the document it professes to describe that it will be used as sort of an information hub. Well, just recently our council disbanded our eyesight, but also using an information hub that only is the size of a 50 square metre area. I own a retail business, and I certainly understand what you can contain in 50 square metres, and it's nearly nothing. So, it needs a really good look at, to be honest, and I don't believe, I think yesterday they should have actually said, yes, good idea, let's see how we can actually flesh it out and then make a proper decision a bit later on. And I guess the difficulty it puts everybody under is actually the perversity of the growth fund that's been put in place. It sort of detracts councils from continuing to work along their current prioritisation framework and investment, and at the opportunity of gaining a little bit of free money. But as we know, free money always has hooks, and we've got operating costs that are going to continue on past the establishment of the build. So nothing's truly free, because at the end of the day, the ratepayer will pick it up. And I don't want to be a detractor from the Gateway. I think the Gateway is a fantastic idea. I'm just not sure in the current form and function that it's been set out in this business case is what would warrant that level of investment.
Are you suggesting this is a rush job in order to get the Provincial Growth Fund money?
I think that would be a good way of describing it.
And the other thing about it is that it is swallowing up a considerable amount of council investment at a time when other investment opportunities have had to be put aside.
Indeed, and and the reason I say that is the prioritisation has been completely misplaced. Like Waikanae's gone without its library now for nearly 2 years, and this project, whilst it's had the support of the Growth Fund, means that the library's been pushed to the bottom of the heap again. And, as a local and resident of Waikanae and the chair of the community board, I find that reprehensible. We shouldn't have to keep fighting to get our own library put in place. And, I think it's going to become a time where we need to actually activate our local community to start really pushing our council. It's something that, as local politicians, you can do work around, but actually we need to get community engagement to really force this through now. Seeing a project like this take precedence over a library, which, I've mentioned before, you get up to 4,000 or 5,000 traffic movements in Waikanae because of our library, and it genuinely supports our local community, our local economy, and there's some clear evidence to that effect. Where a lot of the information with the Gateway is a little bit of guesswork, and it will, don't get me wrong, the Gateway will promote local tourism when it recovers. it will benefit a number of entities, who are already on the island, or who are people who move people from the mainland to the island. What was interesting was one of the people who transport people across to the island was against the project, and they're one of the operators. Yeah. So, there's some very interesting insights into this particular project. I don't want to be a killjoy. I think it is a good idea, but I don't think the timing's right at this point in time, and given the other priorities that need to be invested in.
Did you see the business case in terms of tourist numbers?
We did indeed. Basically, it's about 300% more people would be going to the island than is anticipated at this point in time. Is that practical or realistic? I'm not sure, and I don't believe so from the time at which this project would be completed.
And have those numbers been signed off by DOC? Because there is a limit on the number of people who can go to the island, and that is likely to remain in place, possibly a lesser limit, but still a limit.
There is a limit, and that limit, it'll be at the top of the limit when it's at capacity. So the other thing that calls into question, somebody from DOC spoke, why is and a couple of councillors asked legitimately, why is the council funding a DOC obligation for biosecurity? And that's a good question. Why should our council be funding that? But DOC believe that they've already put sufficient investment into Kapiti Island, and it's just, everyone's skirting around the edges saying that, the contribution from the Provincial Growth Fund is still government money anyway, so, by virtue, it doesn't matter what department you get it from. But I do think, at the end of the day, if it's a biosecurity stepping stone or station, then yes, it should be appropriately funded through our government and not through local ratepayers. There's all these perverse incentives around to get something in place, but without making sure the proper parties contribute as they should.
It just seems extraordinary to me. We've been talking about this for years now, or a similar project to the Gateway, and it appears to me that some pretty fundamental questions have not been asked, and particularly the new questions given the changed COVID-19 climate that we're currently in. I just don't feel as if it's been a good job. It's just my gut feel, and possibly you would empathise with that as well.
Oh, I most certainly would. My view is it actually should be put on the table. It's not something that we shouldn't invest in, but I don't think it should have been done out of haste just to get it through to secure provincial growth fund funding. If the business case stood on its own two legs, it's a good investment. If it's not, it wouldn't. Basically, council's taken the opportunity. It's a bit like when shops offer discounts. It's a 50% discount, come buy, but did you really need the product? And was it the right thing to buy? It's just, it's quite questionable.
Well, it's been yet another interesting conversation. I always look forward to Friday morning and having a chat to James Westbury from the Waikanae Community Board. Perhaps we'll have a wee chat to Jocelyn Pravanov next week, James, and talk to you in a fortnight or so. But it's been lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated.
Hey, thank you very much.
106.3 Beach FM.